Sir, it is started and you can go ahead. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you so much. I would quickly, basically introduce myself before I jump on to various other aspects of procurement, and then I will take you through exactly why this session is very important for you, for your career, for the entire population at large, and why I feel that we should talk more about procurement. Myself, Sandip Balakrishnan, I think there was an extensive and well-researched introduction given by Karthik. So I don't want to probably harp upon what I do, what I have done, what I will do forward. This is something which every industry expert would have probably briefed about when they start the sessions. I would rather spend my time imparting more about procurement to you. Yes, I have handled procurement for close to 2 decades, and I don't probably think that I am that old. But then yes, 2 decades is quite a time. When I passed out, as I said earlier, in 2004, I was a dreamy-eyed boy like you. All you guys who really want to make it big in the industry. One thing which you should probably take it on a platter from me or from any industry expert is that the world is not what it seems to be for you outside there. Many of you are already experienced individuals. You already know what it is to expect. But for those who don't know, there are so many streams, there are so many divisions, there are so many aspects of job which we have not tapped into, explored into, and which I think gives a great career opportunity. Procurement is one of them. I did my MBA in sales and marketing, for your information. I jumped into procurement by chance and stayed there by choice for 2 decades almost. So it's been that kind of a journey. When I say procurement, procurement is basically one part of an organizational operation. If you see an organization at large, you see how they operate. Procurement has become so important. I'll take you through the slides which basically harp upon this part of it where procurement has become large. But why procurement tonight is because I strongly feel IRMA graduates have a great opportunity to land up in this division. You might look at sales jobs, you might look at marketing jobs, you might look at production jobs, you might look at operations job, but why not procurement jobs? So when the placement cell reached out to me, I feel that it is a kind of a service to the entire industry at large when we talk about procurement, because not many people speak about procurement. Many people speak about purchase here and there. I hear people talking about purchase, but then you would be thinking, what is this guy talking about? What is procurement? What is purchase? What is the difference? I'll take you through that also in a short burst. But asking your permission, would you love this session to be interactive, or would you want it to stay the way it is, a monologue? So that's something which I will leave it to you. Karthik, you can be the spokesperson, but I would request your inputs on whether you want to participate in this session and keep it alive.
I think, sir, let's keep this session interactive and the participants will ask questions as and when required.
Absolutely. I'm open to questions as and when you require. Where in my areas of expertise, I'll definitely be able to assist you on that. I'm sure that you would have had sessions with many industry stalwarts. I think recently even Satish had also had a chat of Milky Mist had a session with you. So these are all industry experts who could touch upon various aspects of business. Like Satish is an expert in dairy. There are other experts which I've seen in various industries. Now, food. There are two aspects of my discussion and my presentation today. One is food and second is procurement. IRMA graduates, IRMA pass outs, I always see a great scope of food and this getting married. I passed out from Bamnicom, Vaikund Mehta National Institute of Cooperative Management way back in 2004. So beyond that, I did my IIM and my symbiosis courses. But then when I passed out also, I think we have a very close relationship with IRMA in terms of, we look at more of cooperatives, IRMA looks at more of rural management. There is a lot of common strands there. And I know how it feels like when you get out, especially in today's world where it is highly competitive. You know that there is a lot of uncertainty around. You don't know which industry you want to go into. You don't know which factor you want to play around with when you look for a job. So what I would spend my time in, what I would spend this session over and around is basically why procurement, why is it a profit driver, why is it a future career option, and what are the various industry options you have when you go into procurement. Karthik, with your permission, can I share my screen?
Yes, sir, sure.
So I know there are a lot of photographs which I have myself. I try and not be too jingoistic about myself, but can't help it because session draft has made by Karthik himself. And I have to pick up a lot of my thought process from LinkedIn And I would love you to go through my LinkedIn publications on many various aspects of procurement, so that you understand also, so that what is basically procurement about. So the subject today we are touching upon is of the phenomenal rise of the procurement function. This function is driving brands today, is driving profits today, is driving also exciting career option. How, what to do, how do we park ourselves into this career is what we will touch upon in procurement. So ID Fresh Foods is where I work in. ID Fresh Foods, if many of you are not aware, is one of the leading fresh food organizations in India today. It has created an industry in itself. So again, I would like to probably harp upon this, that it has created an industry in itself. You read behind me is India's #1 batter company. Batter is something which was never an industry. You would all know from your childhood. People who are from south of India would definitely recollect that. No, you used to make batter at home, right? We used to make from rice. We used to make batter at home. So there was our founder PC Mustafa, who is probably one of the most followed personalities in LinkedIn, who had this brilliant idea that why can't we organize this industry into a organization, and basically why don't we start this industry at large. So that was what the whole idea was. Started from a 50 square feet kitchen, if you are all aware of, and started selling 100 packets of batter a day. And to today, you already know how many lakhs of idlis we can make with our batter today. Plus, also to tell you that we are valued at around 1,500 crores today. For a batter company, this is quite a valuation. So, who told that batter cannot make money? So it is that kind of a thought today we can touch upon. So I come from that organization. I come from an organization which is very, very high on energy, very high on vivacity, lots of thought processes, lots of new people. We have people from IIMs, we have people from MDIs, we have people now in the from who's who, from NDDBs, from Britannia, you name them. We have now all the top positions filled in by quite experienced individuals from various industries. We have invested in by Asim Premji with the Premji Invest, and there is another round of funding we just raised of 700 crores, which was by Enquest, which is again a venture capital funding. And we are going into our third round of funding, for your information. So we are moving quite well in terms of how the brand is and where we want to move as an entity. Not now again blowing the bugle on the brand itself. We will touch upon what we have to talk today about is procurement. When I walked into ID Fresh, and before to this, wherever I have had my stint, I always believed procurement was one aspect, one function, which was not touched upon, was not spent upon, I would rather say, by a lot of individuals, including me. I would have loved to take a sales job. I would have wanted to meet my targets. I would have probably wanted to go to my Singapore and my Malaysian tours, achieving those targets, but not. I am into a job which is a back-end job. It's a procurement job, which is a very different kind of a job in itself. I'll also take you through what exactly procurement means and how do you look at this function. To again touch upon, do you think my speed of narration is fast, or do you feel it is quite comfortable, Karthik?
Sir, I think it's good. You're comfortable with it.
Yeah, and any one of you, I see a lot of names here, Jigar, Rakshat, Ronak. I don't want to probably call out on names, but please feel free to jump in, disturb my thought process. Yes, and when you feel like someone has to binge on, Vishal, Shimul, Ankit, all of you, I'm seeing such lovely names and people who basically have decided to spend their afternoon studying and evening with me here. Just give me a second. Sorry, Karthik, just give me a second. I think I have a low battery. Just need to plug it in. Just give me a second. So sorry.
Sure, sir, sure.
Sorry, I'm back to trouble you. So I had battery drain up issues. So I just wanted not to stop this session in between. I'm sure many of you would have loved this session to stop, but then I'm not leaving you that easy. So yeah, so as I said earlier, please feel free to ask questions whenever you feel like you want to know more about procurement. Something about what I'm narrating or what I'm telling you is not making sense. You feel that the subject is still probably in gray and you wanted to understand much more about it. Please do spend time asking questions. I want this to be a lovely session, a very interactive session. We all need to probably spend time about our future, our career in this 1 hour. Does procurement make sense to you? I'm not selling this function to you. Let me tell you, I'm not selling this function to you, but I'm very passionate about this function. I always felt that industries have always undermined procurement as a function, and why we do it, I'm still not able to understand, because there's so much to do in procurement, so much to build in procurement. Organizations can build and run their organizations based on procurement. How many of you have read this book called The World for Sale? Okay, so if you get an opportunity, please get this book. It's called The World for Sale. It's Javier Blas and Jack Facci. So if you can just Google it out, Jack Facci and Javier Blas, it's World for Sale. The World for Sale. Why I said this is because this book will help you, not you alone. Book will help all those people who want to understand basically not about procurement alone. I'm just touching about procurement as a factor, but how much of natural resources that the world possesses and how much of it is connected and how much of it being used and sold across the globe. That's a wonderful history on that, wonderful write-up on how basically the world, the people in the world have made money by pulling out resources from those areas where it is available to those areas, given it to those areas where they need it. Classic example is oil. You would be hearing about the oil imbroglio recently. What is happening with oil? I don't know how many of you really spend time. I'm sure that a lot of you are industry experts, so you would. But studying oil industry, what is happening with oil? Why crude oil? Why that's excitement about crude oil in recent times? Anyone wants to just probably jump in and tell me exactly what does crude oil mean? What do you think? Where does the crude oil come from?
It's been taken from wells, oceans, various.
Yeah, Ronak, it's been taken from various sources, is what I heard you telling, right?
Also, oceans, bed, from Gulf region.
Gulf. Why Gulf? Why ocean? Don't you think Gulf and ocean are two very contradictory things? One is a complete desert and one is a complete water.
I'm not sure, but resources are everywhere around the world. So yeah.
Yeah.
In India also, we are looking for the possibility of finding.
Navi Mumbai, you are there. You are drilling out for oil in Navi Mumbai. There are a lot many places where we do, right? So that is one thought, one great input, Ronak. Anyone else wants to just pitch in why crude is so important today and what it has to do with procurement? I'll tell you. So it's a 7 o'clock class. I remember now saying it's a 7 o'clock class. People don't want to be woken up from their slumber. No problem. So I'll probably take up that responsibility of pitching in. I love talking, so I can do it.
Sorry, sir, to interrupt, but I would like to say that, sir, it's mostly the raw material for every gasoline, which is further refined and used. And so I guess majorly affects the transportation, which is then dropped down to every product, every things which we consume.
Thank you so much. But I think this was Umang, right? I don't know who spoke, but it would be great if you could just introduce yourself before you start. Will be good. I don't know. My screen is not showing up who's speaking. Who did speak now?
Sir, this is Umang this side.
Umang Parma. I saw you just coming on screen. So yes, Umang. So thank you so much, Umang. Very, very introspective. I'll not spend more time there. I will probably tell you exactly what is crude. Is actually fossil fuel. When I say fossil fuel, it is basically the remains of plants and of animals which have been moving around the earth and have been stayed in the earth for millions and millions of centuries. So what has happened is over a period of time, this gets buried under the ocean. And when this gets buried in the ocean, there is soil, there is sand, there is dirt which gets accumulated on top of it and creates a kind of pressure. And pressure is created, oil comes out of this. Anything which you create, squeeze, you see, which has got oil inside will always leach out oil. And oil comes out of it over centuries. It is not a process which takes like half an hour mein oil press kar diya aur over centuries. And this gets filtered out, distilled into the tectonic plates of the earth, the different levels of the earth, right? So oceans means where you find most of this settling down, and that is why those areas where you find more of oceans, you find oil. Now, why UAE, why the GCC, why the Arab countries? Because at one point in time, it was a giant ocean. If you are all aware of it, it was a vast major ocean. And then over centuries, it has actually spread out, and the sand has come on top. It was that kind of a setup that you had in the Gulf and the GCC. So the oil which is extracted from this animal and plant fossils go to the bottom of the earth, and that is where our crude lies. And as I think Ronak rightly said, these are resources which are used for various purposes. Umang rightly said, these are also, this basically are from different pockets of the earth. So you drill into the earth, get this oil, extract it, keep it. There are various levels and layers. I don't want to spend time on the oils. That what is used for aviation fuel is different oil. What is used for crude is different oil. For chemical industries, a different oil. So different kinds of oil which is there. But over years and over centuries, oil have become actually the indicative factor of inflation in the globe. The price of oil has started determining what is the kind of inflationary trends which the globe actually witnesses. If you see, crude oil prices have gone up, plastic prices have gone up. Crude oil prices have gone up, transportation oil prices have gone up. Your daily routine of getting up, doing brushing, everything is dependent on oil. Because oil, which for example, I will give an example of not edible oil. Oil is the crude oil plays an important role in every single thing which you use in life. To the dress you wear, to the to the perfume you use, everywhere. You see, oil has got a role to play. So there's an impact of oil on this. Why procurement is important? Now coming to the fact, if you can take oil from those pockets of the country, of the world, those countries, and deliver it to those countries which need it, you can make mammoth amounts of money. But that is where procurement plays an important role. You need to identify, what is where, how will you source it, how can you play with the governors, how can you go to different countries, sell it. So this book, The World for Sale, I am not again an advocate of a book, nor am I the author of the book. It is written by Javier Blas and Jack Fatchie. Please read this book. It will actually give an indication of how a lot of people, lots and lots, like Kargil for that matter also, how they sourced wheat from across the globe and gave it to different pockets of the globe. That's how they made their big money. So how Kargil came up the ranks, how lots and lots of oil companies, which even today, oil has become a very important flashpoint because of the Ukraine crisis, right? So this is where procurement is important. So I'll touch upon what is procurement. I think I have wholly 1 hour, exactly 1 hour, which he has given me. I have spent 23 times starting off the session, 23 minutes, and I'll now speed up into the real text of the matter. We'll touch upon what is procurement, what is the process of procurement, where and all procurement is basically involved, and what is the role of procurement is. What are the factors impacting procurement, means what all can impact procurement. Now, these are all of my experience, and these are a lot about, basically industrial experience. So whatever you're hearing today is basically a hoard of experiences, and you basically need to understand that this is what you will see when you get into this industry and this function. What are the risks in procurement, how to overcome the phenomenal rise of procurement, why you should go into procurement, right? Now, all say this GOAT, right? Greatest of all times. I would love to become the greatest of all time of procurement one day. I'm telling you honestly, this is what I dream of. So how to become a GOAT in procurement, right? And what are the characteristics to build for that? Then what are the procurement approaches in a bunny world? I don't know whether you have been introduced to a bunny world now. A lot of us have been talking about a VUCA world. I don't know. I'm sure that you all would have discussed a lot many times in your GDs, in your discussions, debates in college, that VUCA world. So, I don't know, volatile, uncertain. You've heard of this VUCA world, no? It is no longer a VUCA world, it is a bunny world. And I'll take you to what is a bunny world also. From the last 3 years of COVID, it is a bunny world. And next is, what is the new age procurement? How do you do the new age procurement cycle altogether? In ID, just touching upon what we focus upon in procurement, just one slide on that so that you understand basically from the industry I come from, what you do at procurement and what all not to do at procurement. That's basically, we all learn what to do at certain things. We don't never touch upon things what not to do at that. So there are a lot many things you should not to do rather than do. Like if you say, okay, if you want to pass out from a college, you have to stay in the hostel, right? You have to learn your day in and day out to learn in, stay in hostel, face all those sessions of your seniors and all those things. I would rather probably write a book about what not to do in hostel life, because I've seen that from close quarters. I know how much we go through the grills, basically staying 2 years in your hostel. The first year seems to be difficult. Second year seems to be absolute joy. So why it happens, we all know. So similarly, what not to do in procurement, right? So next, this is what is procurement. You would always heard about two terms which is used quite frequently in place of the other. What is purchase and what is procurement? The definition is something which is not a textbook definition. This is the definition which I believe, and this is the definition which I have come from my experience. It's the act of purchasing products and services. Not only product services. In ID, I procure everything which there is a payout. When I say payout, consultants, hire landlords, take property, buy raw material, buy packing material, buy capital goods, buy OPEX goods, everything goes through the procurement process. So the act of purchasing products and services, usually to meet business objective, is known as procurement. I think this is quite simple an explanation, right? It does not need much of an explanation here. This would entail what all? This entails strategy, planning, methodology crucial for businesses before final purchasing decisions, and ensuring appropriate deliveries, vendor management, and after sales service. You would have heard of many of these terminologies in sales also, so I don't think you need to really harp and spend time there. But please look at the image which I have just put here. This is basically a pictorial depiction, because I always believe picture speaks louder than words, and it's always like, no, you need to look at images to understand things. If I tell you all this gyan, you will say, ये बंदा आया बहुत ज्ञान देके चला गया, समझ में नहीं आया बंदे ने कि बोला क्या, कहां से शुरू किया, कहां खत्म किया. Take some snapshots of this, what presentation is done in terms of images. Keep it with you. When somebody tells you procurement, मुझे पता है, you should tell them, no, I know procurement entails two parts of it. It is not purchase alone. Purchase क्या होता है? Purchase, if somebody can answer quickly on this, somebody wants to quickly jump in, purchase क्या होता है? What is purchase? Anyone? Yes, Rishabh, please go ahead.
Sir, purchasing is buying, in simple word. It is just buying for your company. That is
Good, Rishabh. So good. I mean, it's like this, na. I know many of you are really aspiring to be marketing and sales individuals. If I ask you what is the difference between marketing and sales, will you answer? Correct. Kotler में सबसे पहले वही लिखा होगा ना कि marketing और sales में difference क्या होता है. Marketing, the sales is the tip of the iceberg. It is not the entire marketing process, right? Sales में बेचने का जो last portion होता है, जहाँ पे where you sell it, is called sales. Similarly, in procurement, the point where you buy it is called purchase. Procurement is not the entire Monty. The entire Monty is sourcing, that is right from identifying suppliers, negotiating the contracts, managing the contract, supplier management, requirement definition, everything comes in sourcing, and then you release a purchase order. Saying the purchase order, I have got this vendor out, I have now releasing purchase order, he has to deliver it on time, and we have to do a GRN for this, and then the invoice matching, and then the payment is made to the vendor. There are two portions. So when I say procurement, it's a very, very strategic job. Strategic job, it starts right from the part wherein you identify a need which the company has. Like you in marketing, you say, identify what a customer needs, come back, make that product and sell it to the customer. Selling means kuch to kharid bana diya, wo bechna, right? So two different things. Similarly, in procurement, it is basically about making sure that you identify the entire strategy of purchase, which are the vendors, how do you manage those vendors, how do you want to define our specifications, how much you want to handle those vendors with, how do you negotiate the contracts, and release the purchase orders, the last part. Wherein kharidna hai. I'll just tell you, for example, if you are, I'm sure that the ladies in this group, I'm not being chauvinistic here, but I'm being very, very, I'm setting an example rather to give this very quickly. I know that when ladies buy, they are a far better procurement specialist than we are. I would have seen your sister, your mother buy and all, right? आपने खरीदते टाइम आपने देखा होगा यार कितना time spend करते हैं, how much they really evaluate the pros, the cons. They would say that Amazon में 5 रुपए कम में मिल रहा है या 10 रुपए कम में मिल रहा है, या फिर you will say that नहीं, I think the quality will be better when you buy from चाचा जी के वाले पास वाले दुकान से, या you will say that नहीं उनके साथ after sales service अच्छा है तो इनका ले लेंगे. You have seen these classic things, na? That is exactly what I'm saying. The procurement involves strategizing for buying. not straight away going and buying something. Because I need something, I go and buy. So clear example, always keep it in mind, two things. Like sales is a tip of marketing, purchase is only a tip of procurement. The entire job of identifying, strategizing, planning for the entire annum, budgeting, and then buying is called procurement. So this is what is procurement for you as a function, right? This is the process which I just explained. If you see how the flow goes, it is like this. You identify the need for a product and service. Second, you find suppliers. Tisra, you request for quotations, right? You ask, this is called RFQ. In our terminology, it's called RFQ, requests for quotations. Then you initiate head-to-head discussions, negotiation, या फिर auction. It's an auction process. Then you negotiate with the supplier saying, okay, you got at this rate, I want you to come down by 5 rupees, 10 rupees. I want you to go by 1 million, 2 million, if it's a bigger contract, right? And then you say, agreed. This is the terms and conditions with you. It's a contract, right? We start karte, identify karke, then we got the supplier, you give a RFQ, you initiate negotiations, then agree. Then the products and services come to you. Look at the top right. Then you check the quality, ensure that no, as per our specifications, jo specification humne diya tha, uske according material pahucha. That is the specification part of it. And then finally, after you receive the product, use it, ensure that no, it has been consumed. Then you analyze the results and margins and think, okay, next time, should I go for the same product, the same vendor, or I change the product line, I change the vendor line. This is what procurement universe is. This is the universe you should know when you talk about procurement. Am I clear? Do you want me to spend more time on this? Yeah, Umang, please go ahead. I think you raised your hand. You have any query?
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like our questions popping up in my head. Like in this whole the process, when we brought in the offers, so I want to know that the evaluation of the offer, is it done by the procurement function or the department which requires that material? But like, is there any clear designation or delegation of work that this will be done by them and this will be done by the procurement team?
Fantastic. Great question, Umang. I would love to spend hours explaining this, but in our job, how we do it, I will tell you. It is simple as that. घर में you buy grocery ना?
Yes.
Grocery तो आप ना?
पर
क्वालिटी कौन सा अच्छा है करके कौन बताता है?
Mama.
Mama tells you, right?
Mostly mama.
Mama, because she is the consumer. She is the person who uses it. So I'll tell you. और वो बोलते हैं ना, basically big basket से खरीदो ये वाला. It will be simple as this, right? या फिर ये खरीद. I'll tell you exactly why. The user is paramount in such services, in any product. The user is paramount. See, I'll tell you who are the users when it comes to procurement. आपके लिए user कौन होगा? Manufacturing can be a user, correct? Sales can be user. Marketing can be user. Finance department can be user. HR can be user. I'll tell you finance and HR क्यों. HR मतलब they basically will ask you to hire some consultants. They'll tell you to hire some places, properties, वगैरह. Why marketing? Because marketing को even advertising, media and all this go through our negotiations. So there is requirement from them also. Finance because they also have a consultants. So बोले कि consultants hire करो. Manufacturing means raw material, packing material, everything they ask us. Capex goods, capital goods, operational goods, वगैरह सब खरीदने के लिए they will come to procurement. So normally during any technical negotiations and technical requirements and specifications for the product per se, the technical team joins with the procurement team for discussion with the vendor. So always it's a combined process wherein you not one department does. You can always negotiate on pricing. Like I would go and say that we are reduce this price, come down this much. I don't want this price to be this. That is on the negotiation prices, right? Commercials is done by the procurement team. The vendor management is done by the procurement team, but the technical requirement, the inputs for the product is always given by the user department. This can be QA, which is quality assurance. It can be manufacturing, which is using the product. It can be HR, it can be finance, it can be marketing, it can be IT, any function which uses it. Procurement is always serving up to functions. That's why I keep on saying it's always serving what the organization needs. So your answer is here saying that no, it cannot be procurement alone who can buy. It always going to procurement with one other function who's going to buy. Yeah.
So just one follow-up question. Like after they have evaluated the offer, the final is on us among the offers, which one to go for?
So every offer, yeah, Umang, is your question basically that no, who will take the decision of buying then?
Final call. So it's like in my firm when I was working, they used to give us 3 to 4 offers. But I didn't knew what happened after that. We used to just evaluate and give them our feedbacks. But after that, I don't know what they exactly do. So is that the final call is taken by them, or just as you said, the final team, the discussion done by the final team, sir?
Umang, this is industry specific. To answer you specifically, it is industry specific. Why I'll tell you, it is organization specific also, not only industry specific. That is why I'll touch upon something called an SOP or a standard operating procedure. There is an operating procedure in every organization. They say the final call in most of the buying is taken by the procurement team, 70% of the cases. There are technically developed jobs which needs very, very technical inputs. In those cases, the technical team will take the final call basis the economics of it, looking at the economics, which is making more sense. But in my organization, for that matter, never will our organizational function, like for example, manufacturing, take a decision in isolation. It will never take. It will take decision in consultation with procurement, saying, I feel technically this product is better. Do you think you can negotiate better on this? That is how the call is. So we have a feedback mechanism. We don't close it at like many 3 quotations diya, or then the person who is supposed to use it will give take this karke. Nahin. 99% of the times we always get a feedback saying, why don't we talk to this vendor? Kya ye kam kar sakte? Because I prefer this vendor, or other technical specifications is better. It can always be a two-pronged process. You can never have an answer with a single procurement buy, because procurement can do things which are good in negotiations, in commercialization, but technical input should come from the user department. And I strongly believe that is the right way for organizations to go forward. Umang, it answers your question?
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir, it's got clear. It got clear.
I think Parmeshwar has a question. Hi,
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
yes, very much.
So it's a process. Sorry?
Pronounce as Prameshwar or Parmeshwar?
It's Prameshwar.
Prameshwar. Hi, Prameshwar. Sorry. Yeah.
So, sir, it's a process where each step is important, but I just bit confused that is there any particular step which is more crucial in this process? And as a procurement manager, what type of skills they should have to handle that particular step?
So, Prameshwar, I think you just probably took words out of my mouth, because I am going into that topic probably in the subsequent slides, where what skill sets you should have become the GOAT. I told you the greatest of all times. Kya skill sets chahiye aapko if you've got a procurement. But Prameshwar, I think you have a network connectivity issue. I was not able to follow the entire piece. But I understand that what you asked first was, which part of this process is more important? None of this process out layers are negligible. Everything is important. I'll tell you why. Identifying a vendor is as much as important as much as negotiating with the vendor. Negotiating with the vendor is as much as important as much as after sales service of the product. So I never, if you ask me, if I have 10 kids, I will say all the 10 kids are equal to me. It is that kind of a thing for me in procurement. Isme koi process, it is as the weakest link. The strength of a chain lies in the weakest link. If you say that I will focus more on negotiation, then you might not find the correct vendor also, right? And if I say I will spend more time on the right vendor, you will not spend time on negotiation. Now, if you get both done, then you will not get the proper after sales service. So every part, that is why I'm sure that har ek job mein, if you see now, it doesn't end with one part of it, right? Now, sales mein wo bolte ki numbers achieve hone se kya nahi, it doesn't end. After sales service bhi rehta hai, returns bhi aate hai, these are all matters. So your targets and your KRAs are always spent upon all this together, not one part of it. So Prameshwar, to answer your question, and for the paucity of time, every part of this process is important. I will share the deck with you guys also so that we can have a look at it. Second, that requirement for being a great procurement guy comes very soon. We will discuss about this. I'll not spend time much here, because I think time we are running out. You got 1 hour slot. Karthik, the next time 3 ghante dena, I will be happy to take you guys through this.
So this time also we can cross that 1 hour limit.
No, I know that, but I know that 7 to 8. Mujhe pata hai, I spent in hostels and doing this. I know how much of abuse I would be probably mentally hearing from people saying that kitna time spent kar diya, or maybe that they will be cursing me, and I don't want to take that curse. Yeah, maybe 5-10 minutes will spend. Yeah. So see, there are two aspects now. Probably Prameshwar, your question and this slide makes sense, right? What are the procurement risks? Okay, एक बंदा procurement में जा रहा है तो what will the risk he will have? What is the lowest spectrum of the risk, and what is the highest side of the spectrum? What is the risk which comes? Now, if you have a simple buying process, जैसे एक बंदा खरीद रहा है, lot many places in North India and all, ये traders होते हैं जहाँ पे दाल चीनी वगैरह सब अपने आप बेच देते, अपने एक दुकान में बेचते. So the decision making is very simple. मैं ही decide करता हूँ खरीदने का, मैं ही बेचता हूँ. Less experience होता है. If you see the top deck, I have mentioned that. Conflict कुछ नहीं होता, because decision making is mine. I decide what to do, right? I decide what to buy, what not to buy, how to handle this. So I don't have any basically challenges, basically being questioned on any front. Like आज के corporate में ऐसा नहीं होता. You have 20 things to answer before you buy anything. And informal decision making hota hai. So in these cases, the procurement risks are very low. Go to the right side of it. You have a complex buying structure, right? यहाँ पे Parmeshwar, for your question, you need experienced and well-trained professionals. Procurement goats, which I say called goats. ये goats जो है ना, you need there to handle this. And there is lot of conflicts and even political bargaining, environmental factors which come into play. And then there is formal decision making process with the approvals. So you know, every day I send 20 mails for approvals to my CEO. And that is how I buy for ID Fresh. If I can do this, I get around 20-25 mails for my approval, which I have to give operationally also. So it's a lot of formal decision making process. Information search. I will go to the left side again. On the bottom you see information search की जरूरत नहीं है. Informal setup है तो new supplier का ज़्यादा consideration कुछ नहीं होता because you don't need to really emphasize on supplier buyer relationship. सब अपने आप छोटे मोटे में हो जाता. But when it comes to a job like what I do, you have to extensively research for which are the vendors, right vendors to buy. कौन से pockets will I go and buy dal from them? Where I will buy rice from? From where will I buy my capital goods? Well, where will I buy my machineries? Will my band sealing machines? Where do I go and buy get the best consultants? How do I take the best landlords to into my kitty? It's an extensive research process which I have to have. And known suppliers are favored. Emphasis on non-price factors in selection because this I mentioned here because you always know the quality from known suppliers. That is why always there is a supplier empanelment process in such consideration. ये नहीं है कि it's a different kind of a process. Then this is the two spectrums of risks which you see in a procurement. Answering to Prameshwar's question that now how do you handle this? अगर छोटा business है, छोटा procurement है, you decide खरीदना यही, ये बेचना यही. But on the higher end of the spectrum, when it's a complex structure like ID Fresh has today, you have to take not many decisions. You have to take decisions based on quotations. You have to take decisions based on availability. We are into dairy manufacturing also. There are various decisions in dairy which we have to take. For example, milk availability in India is very low today, all-time low. दूध नहीं दे रहा गाय आजकल. That's what I would probably say. That is how we look at it today. I don't know what has happened, but last 2 years has been a revolution of probably the cows also saying that कि हम नहीं देंगे दूध. That is the kind of situation we have faced in the last 2-3 months, where absolutely the milk prices shot up to all-time high, and like your oil prices, like your wheat prices, because of the Ukraine crisis, which is milk prices has not been to do with any Putin or not to do with any of Biden's decision. Milk prices अपने गाय लोगों ने decide किया है कि this is going to be what I will service this time. So that is what we face. So we procurement guys have to be right on top of how the products, which products, how do you look at these products, कौन से products में कैसे price, how will it vary, market, you have to look at trade indicators. You have to really look at what factors, कौन सा कैसे जा सकता है. Is there any, like day before yesterday, India has banned the export of wheat, right? You would have all read this news. It's a big news, because India produces 110 million metric tons of wheat. India consumes 100 million tons of meat. Okay, not meat, wheat. Sorry. So, आपके अपना जो जितना production इंडिया में होता है उतना ही we consume. The moment Ukraine crisis came up, Ukraine used to give close to 30% of the world's exports, right? 30% of world's exports. India should have ideally exported 5 to 6 million tons of wheat. What happened this time is April alone, India got a booking of 7 million tons of wheat in April alone. Now look at the subsequent 11 months. If we had gone the same way, India would have exported 30 to 40 million tons of wheat and India would have starved. The decision to stop exports of wheat is not a political decision. It is a very known, understandable decision. It is basically where people have to understand that it has been a decision like palm decision has been taken by Indonesia, if you guys are aware. Indonesia decided to ban exports of palm oil and India is one of the biggest consumer of palm oil. So these are all the decisions, a known procurement guy will know. Okay, this decision they will quickly move, quickly take decisions, right? Gaurav has a question. Gaurav, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Gaurav.
Sir, I have a simple question, sir. For example, if I'm procurement manager, sir, if I made a purchase of wheat of amount 40 to 50 crore rupees, and I get to know after 2-3 hours that the price of the wheat get reduced by 1 rupees or 0.5 rupees per kg, and I made a loss of 50-60 lakh rupees of the company. And at that situation, what I have to do to tackle this situation?
You want me to use crass, crude language? मैं बोलूँगा band बज गई. So that is what we will basically use in procurement. I don't want to use crude language here. I'm so sorry if I'm sounding unparliamentary, but that is where basically procurement's risks lie. Na हमारे job में ना सबसे बड़ा risk ये रहता है this price management, because you control certain factors of price, Gaurav, but you don't control all the factors of price. Government decisions are not in your control. I will tell you wheat. Even if you have insider information, you will never know that no government is going to ban wheat. So what is happening is private traders were hoarding up wheat in the last 2 months. They knew that no wheat consumers का यहाँ requirement ज़्यादा है, export ज़्यादा हो रहा है. You will always have a price increase. So I will hoard up and no increase. So people who have hoarded up wheat, I'm telling you, they're in for trouble because India में excess हो सकता है wheat. And what happens to the excess price they have paid out for it? Gaurav, while I would have used a very, probably a very casual language on that, but I'll tell you, this is what the goat of procurement, the greatest of all times of procurement individuals always try and not make mistakes of this sort. Price determinants is a very important characteristic. Prameshwar, to answer your question, one of the most important characteristic that a great procurement guy should have. Usko knowledge. While I say everything will not be in your control, आपको नहीं पता था कि गाय दूध नहीं देगी, right? You don't know how milk will be for the next year. You don't know suddenly a hailstorm comes, crops are damaged. आपको नहीं पता रहता, right? But careers are made and broken on basis of such big decisions. If you are ITC today and you take this decision to buy lots and hordes of wheat, and suddenly India bans export, when you had it, right, Gaurav, you don't have an answer for such a mistake. It's like telling you that, okay, what do you do? No, basically, if I don't know what's the right kind of comparison juxtapose here, but then what it is asking like look, I made a big mistake. I killed somebody. What do I do next? Yes, you can spend 25 years in prison and repent for it throughout your life and come back. That's the only solution. So similarly, 40-50 crores is big money. Procurement ka strength bhi wahi pe hai na, Gaurav. Just now read between the lines. This is where procurement strength is. You alone can make 40-50 crores of profit and 40-50 crores of loss. Which organization, which function has that kind of a power today in organization? So try and develop your acumen in understanding of market. How do you answer this? You should understand the markets better. You should know how to look at metals if you're handling metals. If you are looking at commodities, you should know how to look at commodities. Kaise hota hai? Commodity online, you should track trade marketing, you should track sources in the market. You should have your own spice in the market. Sab jagah hota hai na, moles. You understand information you will get कि कैसा trend होगा, कैसा खरीदना है. So that answers your point, Gaurav. Ronak, do you want to stop here? Go for another query because I think we are still running very short on time. Is this related to?
Yes, sir. Currently, Russia was also one of the top wheat producer. So, what we did in crude, we imported from Russia and we were selling to Europe. Wouldn't it be rational if we had imported wheat from Russia and sold it to Europe? How
will you import? Achha, you are talking of since there is no trade ban. So Russia doesn't. Yeah, sorry. I'll just tell you the reason why not, right? Why and why not? Two things are there in there. There are a lot of complexities and layers in this procurement, right? You know how we bought oil from Russia? You know how it is bought?
Yes, sir. We had some back end deal, some kind of deal years ago that we can procure some amount of oil from Russia.
Yeah.
So that was it.
So, just adding another layer to this, it was bought from a company called Vitrol. And Vitrol is there. And if you read this book, The World for Sale, now you will know how Vitrol has come up the ranks. Same story of how they bought oil from somebody. And Indian Oil Corporation has had a treaty with them. So it was nation to nation which was banned, not Indian Oil to Vitrol. So they could buy. So there are always layers to this kind of procurement, right? Russia is one of the bigger wheat exporters of the world, but Ukraine is much bigger than Russia in terms of wheat export. But wheat make factor hai. Russian wheat doesn't sell in Indian market. You should understand that also. Wheat is highly dependent on quality. You know that, right? If you see, Indian wheat is not bought much in UAE and GCC countries. It is always Russian or Ukraine wheat which goes sell because they prefer hard wheat. We sell more of soft wheat, and India doesn't consume soft wheat. So there are a lot of factors in wheat. When you start buying, you will understand that India doesn't buy wheat soft. So we cannot buy from Ukraine and Russia wheat as much as we can buy crude oil or petroleum from this. Because crude oil and petroleum can be changed into any form. Right, wheat cannot be. Wheat is used for atta, is used for making delicacies. So we need more of soft wheat. India needs more of soft wheat, and it is produced primarily and mostly in India alone. How many times have you seen India importing? I'll tell you other countries from where India imports wheat. One is Australia. And that Australian is a hard wheat again, and it is only probably 5% or 4% of India's requirement that has been imported. You can never buy 30 million tons from Ukraine and serve this purpose of India. No. See, actually speaking, India is self-sufficient now. 110 million ton we are producing, and 100 million ton is our requirement. We only have to stop exports. That's the only point we are trying to say here. Because India has to be fed first, and we need that kind of a wheat. So Ronak, there are many layers to this answer. One is that the quality does not suit our requirement. Two, we can use 4% or 3% of hard wheat. We need more of soft wheat, and that can come only from India.
So what I was trying to say, we can import from Russia the wheat they produce, and we can export the same wheat from India.
No, I'll tell you why. Because the biggest cost in any kind of procurement, if that's why that book you read, you'll understand. And from my experience, I'll tell you the biggest cost in always procurement is the logistics cost. You buy from Russia, you are going to sell somewhere else, you will not make money. You will lose money. What price you will sell? How will you? First of all, you need to have contracts with Russia. We are already rubbing people on the wrong side by buying oil. If you go and buy wheat and also, then people, it's a very politically laced situation. No, it is not only a technical reason, but also politically laced situation. We cannot do that. Second, importing from Russia and selling to somewhere else, kyun kare hum? I mean, it is like touching your nose all around and coming here. I'm just trying to understand that why do you want to? You want to appease the international community and give them wheat? No. You want to export wheat though. If you have to make profits, you cannot do that way. Why is export done? Export is done to make profits. अगर आपने खरीदा lower price में and then sold at a better price, you import from Russia, then export out, you will not make money. Let me be very clear about it. You will not be able to make money. It is economics. Not why we don't do that. Yeah. Yeah. So quickly now going to the next slide of it. Now, what are the factors? Now we spoke about all these things, right? Now, abhi ye discussion mein you would have understood. Ronak has raised up, Prameshwar has raised up, Umang has raised questions. Gaurav had put his point. Look at the factors which affected procurement, right? Like Ronak was asking me, all these factors came into play. Now, social political environment kaisa hai procurement ke liye? Whether I can import, whether I can export, whether I can buy, whether I can not buy. What is technology today in my organization? Can I buy through system-based buying or मेरा अभी oral चलता है, phone पे चलता है? How do I do this buy? Industry कौन सा है मेरा? I answered. I think it was Umang who asked me a specific question that decision कैसे ले? कौन से industry में हूँ? Am I in a food industry? Am I in mining? Am I in telecommunication? Every procurement is industry specific. What is the organizational strategy? करना क्या चाहते हो आप? Do you look at bottom line benefits like profits बनाना है? Yeah, you want to run top line, so you want to increase volume, so you can probably buy at a slightly overpriced thing, but high in volume. Structure कैसा है? This when I say structure, organizational structure ही नहीं, procurement structure. Many organizations tend to undermine the procurement structure, right? They don't have too many people riding the procurement thing. In ID, we built a very strong procurement structure. Now recently, with my thought process also saying, procurement has to be very, very important. You need to have people in fields, you need to have people in farms, you need to have people who basically interact with industries so that we get the best prices. A procurement person can save crores for you. Answering that, somebody who told that, ki kya kare, Gaurav asked na, ki kya kare if I made a mistake like this. If you have the right people and the goats working for you, you will never make mistakes like that. And what are the processes? Basic processes kya hai? Which are the big processes which are the company has built? This is the SOP. I told how do you buy? Hey, mere yahan pe ek SOP is standard operating procedure. Who all you have to take approvals for what all buys? How do the approval process go by? How is the RFQ raised? The entire thing has to be process oriented, and has to be audited. Has to be very, very clear on integrity for all. I'll take you to characteristics of what procurement individual should have also. Do I make sense? Till now, am I making sense? Are you people feeling that ki ye banda bolta hi ja raha again? I keep on asking this because I sometimes feel I'm a little fast, but paucity of time again. Am I making sense? All of you, Umang, Rana, Gaurav, Karthik, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Yes, I heard a new voice somewhere from, I don't know, again, you might have to tell me your name, otherwise I'll keep on searching for you. I see so many.
It was Binjan.
Hi, Binjan, yes.
For holding our attention, sir.
Oh, I'm floored. I'm absolutely floored. Thank you so much. And yeah, so I see not many of the faces also. Sai, Ritika, Sneha. I think you guys also have to pitch in when you have doubts. Please do ask questions. We definitely want to make this a more interactive session. Yeah, and yeah, I see. Ignore my photographs. I'm talking about this. I don't know. Somehow I wanted to not put this, but I'm saying this is there on LinkedIn. So if you go on to, if you want to spend time on what I'm speaking on here, and do you feel that I'm spending too much time talking about it, just go into LinkedIn. You will see these very discussions which I have spoke about procurement. You will feel know exactly why I speak about these factors in detail. One is I say that no, this is the why you have to take a career in procurement, the phenomenal rise of procurement. The aspects, I'll not go to the entire text of it. It has become an exciting career option, right? It has become an exciting career option because procurement is no longer off the hook buying. Earlier, kya hota tha? Just buy, take it, whatever price. It has become a highly evolved process, and there is a highly efficient buying. बोलते हैं इसको, otherwise you call it sourcing or you call it a purchase, right? Now, organizations are realizing this over the go that it's become a very, very, very important function, right? Second point, if you see, there are many stakeholders who get impacted by the buying decision. Like Umang asked me, or I believe it was Gaurav who asked me, saying that, kya kare? Think of your mistake you make in 30-40 crores. How much impact would it come to the organization at large? So there are many stakeholders who get impacted by the buying decision. Isliye it involves a highly evolved, focused, and upskilled approach. Fourth rather, you have to understand that the bottom line of organizations does not come from sales, it comes from procurement. The bottom line, the extra margin, the extra 1 rupee 50 paisa jo hota hai, it comes from procurement. So you have to make sure that you're a highly evolved and efficient procurement individual, which is a highly, it's a goat you need there. You need goats for all this. I keep on telling, I keep on using the word goat. I hope all of you understand what I meant by goat. It's the greatest of all times, right? So you have to become that person individual if you have to become a great procurement person. And then the last bit of which I have in the same article, which you basically could read in my LinkedIn profile, Stay, Slay, and Pay. Hey, in the procurement sir. It's basically that it has become a brand builder. Because you know why I say brand builder? Abhi, this is very important for you to understand. When you interact in procurement, you interact with industries, right? You interact with organizations. Just as sales may interact with customers, and you always say that the customers are the most important people. They are gods. Absolutely, they are gods. In procurement, you deal with people who talk about your organization. Like they will say that we supply to ID Fresh, one of the most professional organizations. They speak, and this becomes word of mouth. This is passed from one individual to another. So at the end of it, what you tend to make is a brand. You know that the industry recognizes the brand and says that I should supply to ITC, I should supply to Britannia, I should supply to ID Fresh, right? These are the things which you want to do as a brand builder in procurement. This is why it is an exciting career option. There is a lot of things which you can actually do in procurement, which people tend to not understand, right? So this is one of my articles. You can really go through it. So this is why I say that there is a phenomenal rise of procurement, and procurement is one function we should always not ignore. The second piece is where you asked me, I think it was, I doubt it was Prameshwar, right? Who asked basically what are the skill sets you need, right?
Yes,
for procurement guy, right? This is it. How do you become a goat of all procurement? There also I have a very, probably I know I use very cheesy kind of language in my articles. Who bought my cheese? I know all of you would have read that who moved my cheese. So this is something which to do correlated where I've written on there who bought my cheese. So it's basically to understand that where did it all come from finally? Who sourced it? Now, to become the greatest procurement individual, this is my 6-8 rule you need to be right on top of to become one of the best procurement individuals, the person who can be the best negotiator, be the best sourcer, be the best deliverable person in the organization. What is it? One, integrity. Primary, not only in procurement, in life also, I say. Integrity wise, you should be number one. Never make mistakes knowingly. Never ever make mistakes knowingly. Never ever get into something which does not sync with your values. Always stay high on integrity. Procurement individuals ka sabse bada risk. Entire my career I have seen is they become prone to all other benefits of stardom. Basically stardom hi bolta hu main usko, because you are a procurement individual, you always source, people come to always worship you. Never get into it. My strategy in career, my entire 2 decades, I've been very clear in this. My team members, my delegates basically do the entire procurement for me. I only strategize. I only tell them. I make the vendors only come to me and discuss only when there are strategic calls, meetings. I don't really involve in day-to-day operations of buying and deciding, but I make it a properly audit-driven process. So high on integrity, one. Prameshwar, first important characteristic you should have. Second, negotiation skill. Negotiation skill, when I say is, I don't know, we all get into organization with negotiations, right? मैं बोलता हूँ कि आप पहले कंपनी में जाते हो, क्या पहले सैलरी की negotiate करते हो? I mean, you attend interviews, you'll know that. No, first thing you need to say कि salary negotiate करते हो. If that is a skill set, I always believe that if I cannot negotiate my salary well, I will not be negotiating well for the organization. So part is that you have to be great negotiator. You need terrific communication skills. You definitely need to develop communication skills. I always say that communication skills because मेरा बचपन में ना 5th standard में, again I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I used to get smacked by my parents for reading books inside my textbooks. मैं ना 5th standard में जब था, I used to read Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Five Find Outers वगैरह. From my library, I used to pick up and I kept it inside my textbooks. I used to read it, right? Not high on integrity, very poor on integrity, but very high on reading skills. From there, the journey started, and even today, I feel that the communication pang, the urge to communicate better, the urge to talk in with the different languages to people, to the skill sets which you need to develop is very, very important for procurement. As much as it is important for PR and for marketing individuals, communication skills is very, very important. Number knowledge, analytical know-how. The world is run by numbers. Let me tell you, I hated maths. I always used to say I don't like math. I don't basically know. I have the worst language. I used to love English. I used to hate math. But then the thing is that now I cannot afford to not do math. I need to do my number. Somebody tells me 21 into 54, I have to do it mentally. I say that 50 into 20 karo pehle, and then 4 into 8 karo, 20 karo, fear then money. I do this mental math today. Mental math because that is very important, paramount in your procurement job. You basically have to understand what is analytics, because then you know how to analyze a purchase trend. Over the last 5 years, how have I bought a commodity? How is the price trending? Which months are the best buy months for me? How do I look at it in a different way, right? Market awareness, I think definitely one of the most important aspects of procurement we should understand is that somebody again asked me this question: how do you take right decisions? Market के बारे में बताना. Always know your markets, then you'll be a great decision maker. Boundless energy, यार. Energy ऐसा होना चाहिए कि 8 o'clock को class खत्म हो जाए, बोले तो भी 8 o'clock को खत्म मत करो, 8:30 को खत्म करो. That kind of energy you should have. So that is what you call boundless energy. But then that does not mean that I'm going to stretch this till 8:30. I'll probably run it to quite fast. And so these are also articles which are there on the web. I think you can always see this through. I recently attended a procurement summit, which was basically all the leaders of procurement in the industries were there. Sitting next to me is Shom Chatterjee, if you know, ITC's procurement head, on the right sitting to me. What we discussed was this Bani world. I touched upon this Bani world. What is Bani world? Bani world is nothing but it is a brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible world. If you need decisions, earlier it was VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex. With the last 2 years of COVID and the Ukraine war, decision making has become so difficult that it's become a Bani world. That is where we touched upon that we don't know. It has been obnoxious oil prices, outrageous fuel prices, unbelievable services from vendors. Sab kuch, it was ori, right? We never knew what to do, how to do it. Occam's razor. The second part of it where I want to probably spend time to you to understand this is that Occam's razor is more than one solution. It's not a one solution game today. You know what is Occam's razor? If you go and Google it out, you'll find that wherever there is more than one solution, multiple solutions, there cannot be one size that fits all. So the world is going into a stage where you have many solutions. You can move from a plastic of one sort to another plastic. You can always go into paper packaging like Myntra does, right? You can always move from one form to another. So there's an Occam's razor situation out there. So the new age procurement is about thinking differently. And how do you go into this? So that's why 2022, how does it behave for you in procurement? Open KRAs. Aapko KRAs to pata hoga na? You would have all of you would be knowing what is key result areas. All of us are measured on KRAs. All of us in the organizations are told, aapka KRA ye mahine ka, ye saal ka, ye rehta hai. You have to achieve those numbers, right? with the current market tendencies of commodity prices and other, the open KRAs have become the vogue. That means हम KRA set नहीं कर सकते. You can't know the prices of commodities. You don't know how to look at it this way. So that's why I told procurement, the last part of it, this is the unsung hero. That is the bottom line, that we are heavily dependent on the procurement function. This is where you can build careers. Trust me, guys, you've got a lot of things out there which you can do in procurement. Try spend time on this. And now coming to the last few, probably the last couple of slides, what not to do in this bunny world. As I said, bunny world, all of you are now very clear, right? Ronak, you understood, right? What it means: brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. मतलब समझ में नहीं आएगा. It is brittle. Today is one thing, tomorrow will be something else. Suddenly wheat export ban कर दिया. Suddenly palm from Indonesia has been banned. Suez Canal एक दिन block हो गया. Entire the industry, the logistics industry went out of vogue, right? Because there was a ship which got blocked in the Suez Canal. That reminds me, how many of you know of the Panama Canal? Anyone knows about the Panama? Yeah, Rishabh, you have a question, or I think you know about it. Rishabh, please.
I know about it, sir.
Yeah, so I know of people who I think Rishabh will probably share with you. But with this, I don't want to spend time here. But it is a very interesting phenomenon. How you should know about the history of Panama Canal. I spoke about Panama because Suez Canal में जब issue आया था, it blocked the entire logistics of movement of vehicles, right? And there was a huge cost to the world, right? So Panama Canal is a work of art. It's basically done by 4 or 5 countries, started by the French, done by the Americans, then moved again by the British. So many countries involved. And how it has been, it has a small piece of land, tract of land. हमने cut करके we moved the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. We had to join together. That was the point wherein this Panama is there, the small place. वो कैसे बनाया है? You can Google it out. I don't want to spend time on it. It's a three-layered travel from that one ocean to the other. मतलब एक gate खुलता है, फिर next gate, फिर खुलता है next gate, and the water level rises for them to move into one to other. Very, very interesting, piece of work and art. If you can see that, that is what the world is moving to. That's why I told Occam's razor. बहुत solutions है. because हमें ढूंढना है solution. That's the only part we have to. So what all you will not do? What all you will not do in this new world? What you should not do as a procurement guy? Not negotiating. Obviously, negotiate नहीं करोगे तो you are gone down in the dumps. Ignoring your suppliers. No, suppliers are very important today. They are to be treated like your own partners. Please do that. Going over budget. That means budget जो fix किया है इस time ना, please make sure you don't shoot over the budget because these are very uncertain times. Making snap decisions. कभी मत करो. You should always take your decisions after a lot of analysis, lot of understanding about the situation and market around you. Isolating major decisions is when I say that don't take isolated decisions. You always have to work in a team. That's why someone asked me this question that do you take the decisions or does the user take the decision? Take all major decisions together so that the organization moves together, and procurement also works along the organization. Being too rigid, ये तो organization में कहीं पे भी हो, you cannot afford to be rigid. Today it's a flexible world. आज ये नहीं कर सकते, can we go and do this way? That's a flexible world. Failing to establish internal policies, SOPs. As I told you, there has to be approval mechanism, audit mechanism. Otherwise, you will actually plan to fail rather than fail to plan. All right. So that is what we should avoid. And last and 2 pieces are not having any vendor external policy. It is it's not having any vendor external policy. That is simple as that. You should have a vendor management policy. You should do vendor ratings. कौन से vendors are the best vendors for you for the year? How can you give them awards? How can you, appreciate their performance? Bring them as your partners. And last, and definitely the piece which we all are doing too. If I refuse technology today, I would not be having this session with you, right? I would have to travel all the way to Ahmedabad and Anand, and I would have to do this session with you guys. And it would have been very difficult for me. My schedule does not allow that. And Karthik has been so great that he has told that let's do this ऐसे करो. And so that's why we are doing this technology, right? Technology is there for you. So the last, again, one more piece of article which you probably want to spend time and look at is basically uncertain times. How will you think differently? How can you do this differently? There's one more article again. So many articles now. This banda मतलब करता क्या काम करता है या लिखता है, you think, right? No, but all these are from my experience. I love procurement. I love to write about procurement. So in procurement, in uncertain times, you have to be ubiquitous. I don't know whether everyone know the word ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means different. रौनक थोड़ा डिफरेंट है, राइट, बाकी लोगों के जैसे नहीं, ही इज वर्क ऑफ आर्ट, अपने आप में अलग है. So that is what ubiquitous means. So you have to be ubiquitous in this world. So how will you do this in this world? Certain different ways. From my school, my book, I will tell you. Negotiations. पहले मैंने बोला कि कभी avoid मत, कभी negotiations नहीं करेंगे तो it will be a folly. But I am saying negate negotiations. मतलब don't run entire your negotiations. उसका जो थोड़ा negativity कम करो. Don't be only dependent on negotiation. Second is forgot the art of vendor relationship, then you are in trouble. So you should evoke it again. Art of vendor relationship बहुत important. You have to maintain vendor relationships. You have to humor the supply chain. आजकल जो है ना, you have to make sure manufacturing is taken care of, the logistics is taken care of. So you have to make them in good harmony so that the entire organization works in tandem. Plan D, E, Z. आपने A, B, C तो प्लान कर दिया, C फेल हो गया तो क्या करेंगे? तो D बनाओ, E बनाओ, C, F बनाओ, then you go up to Z. Make plans. You work out of the box today. The show has to go on. इसमें एक प्रायोरिटी मैट्रिक्स है, which I think no, I will not spend much time on, but do spend time understanding priority matrices कि कौन से decision making, like somebody asked me this question, कहाँ पे यूज करेंगे, tactical कब यूज करेंगे, tactical savings वाला कब यूज करेंगे. This is like all your matrices. जहाँ पर risk ज्यादा है, you know, you like you take a strategic critical call. Expenditure और risk दोनों ज्यादा है तो, अगर savings ज्यादा है तो you take more on less of risk, you take a tactical call. Right? Now tactics and strategy में different होता है. Tactics मतलब उस time के लिए, strategy मस्त long term होता है, right? Long term on short term. So there I don't want you to spend more time. This is what we do at ID. I don't want to again spend very last bit of time. Any question, quick questions you want to touch upon? I think we are already overshooting our time. Quick questions, anything which you felt which I was ignoring or you want to discuss? Any questions? Yes, Rishabh, go ahead.
So sir, I have a little bit of experience in procurement. So one problem that we was that, you know, vendor relationships. So we had to divert the order sometimes, just in order to have proper relationship with many vendors. So how do you better manage it?
It is like wife and husband relationship. I always call it like that. So इसमें ना ऐसा होता है ना कि कभी कभार थोड़ा नेकलेस वेकलेस खरीद के देना पड़ता है, कभी कभार गंदा खाना है तो भी गंदा नहीं बोलना पड़ता है. You have to tell that no, खाना ठीक है करके. But at the same time, you have to always tell your wife that no, कि what you feel about it also, right? No, sometimes that's what a relationship is all about. Na vendor management is a big art. यहाँ पे भी देखो, I have told an ID what we do. Na if you see this very slide also, vendor strategy, because I strongly feel, and I am a big proponent of the fact that vendors are our business partners, big time business partners. उनको properly handle करना बहुत ही difficult art होता है. You know, some people are of different characteristics. 10 vendors you will get of different characteristics. Some of them are very high on integrity, some very low on integrity, some high on quality, some low on quality, high on service, low on service, so on and so forth. So how do you manage vendors is always going to be an art. It is something which I will not teach you. You will always have lot of people telling you that एक vendor को ऐसे handle करो, but it all is situational. I will tell you the best way to handle vendors are situational. It also is industrial. Basically, how do you handle different vendors? Like situational, when I say that, I will give you a classic example recently, जो हमारा experience में जो हुआ था. We have some vendors who have been with us for years together. There are also new vendors which come on board, right? And the vendors which are with us for years together, and when some new person joins in, maybe this is something which you were asking about, Rishabh, but when somebody new joins in, he will try to bring a new vendor on board. He will say that no, ये बंदे को लेके आओ, this vendor is better. The old vendor gets antagonized. Antagonized in the sense कि वो सोचता है, अरे यार, I've been doing it for years. Suddenly you're getting a new banda, and that is because a new person is joining. How do you handle that situation, right? There's complaints which go to the top management, and people say that no, you're favoring a certain vendor, right? Get your facts right, Rishabh. Get your facts right. Always get your numbers. That's why number knowledge is very important. Show the world, show the management that no, what you are going to decide is going to save them lakhs of rupees. Show them that the quality is best. Always proven things are. जैसे innings जो होता है ना cricket में होता है ना, you don't let your mouth do the talking, you do the bat do the talking, right? आप century मारोगे तो people will recognize you. You will score those runs in the field. You don't do it by basically talking about it. मैंने ये session तो ले लिया, लेकिन ये session का जो है, it is 20 years of my life which I am telling you in this session. It is not that when you do something, you do it. So it's an art. How do you manage vendors? You manage situationally. You manage vendors also in the context of organizational growth. Never treat them as outsiders. Treat them as your own business partners. Right? That is the way forward in this Bali world, and it will be the way forward. Rishabh, I hope that I am partially answering your question, because there is no 100% answer to this question, right? It is like, how will you manage your wife? मैंने आज तक 15 साल में मुझे पता नहीं चला कि how do I manage my, I mean, it's not bad. If she hears me, she will kill me now. That's another thing. 12-13 years में अब तक मुझे समझ में नहीं आया कि how do I handle my wife? So it is that kind of a question you are asking me. It is always going to be a little, tacky, but we need to figure out how to handle people and all. Bosses को भी कैसे handle करे वो भी आपको से पता करना है, तो you will have to probably have a crash course in itself, because boss management is one of the biggest arts today, right? So this is what we basically do in Rishabh. I'm moving on to the last piece of slide. Is basically what in ID we focus on. One is I focus on the team. If you see the top right, I focus on the team very much. Building a very strong team is very important. And as I touched earlier, market informations are very important. Very important in ID. We look at marketing knowledge. That's how somebody asked me, "If you make mistake करोगे तो क्या करोगे?" तो mistake नहीं होना चाहिए. That is where we all spend time, crores, lakhs, money, right? Analytics. Look at analytics. How do you analyze the data which is given to you? Finally, the vendor strategy on how do you this question Rishabh asked, कैसे manage करोगे कौन से vendors को? How do you want to handle this? And there has to be an organizational AOP, which is the basis for strategies. Like AOP, annual operating plans. Every organization has it, right? So we also have an annual operating plan. And how do you work in the framework of this annual operating plan? Budgets exceed nahi karna. You have to buy from the right vendor. Do you have sufficient, consistent supplies? Whether you will be able to make products which you can sell in the market. That is importance of procurement at ID. This wraps up more or less what I have to talk about ID or procurement. I'm not here to sell ID. Obviously, I'm here to sell procurement. And this is basically to share with you my 2 cents, which I have for the 2 decades of time spent in procurement. My humble submission here to everyone who is on this platform is that you might have thought that I crammed in lot many things, because 1 hour is not enough, to be very honest. It's not enough for me to share what I could probably about procurement. This could probably run into hours, couple, 3. But then I know that how much you are under stress in terms of completing sessions, and I first would want you to understand that this entire session was built to make you understand procurement. If I would have at least made you understand what is procurement, I have done my bit here. The rest of understanding what the complexities the procurement guys undergo, how do you take decisions on procurement, because these are all jargons. You can always talk about all these things, but on the field you take a lot of decisions which are not jargonal. It is more about on the field taking the right decisions. How do you handle that right vendor? How do you handle a situation where you spend more, like someone asked? There's all those nitty-gritties which involved. You are a division, a department which can save crores to the organization if you do the right work. At the same time, you can also make the organization lose and bleed crores if you don't do it right. That is where the joy and fun of being a procurement guy lies. I am enjoying this job. I've been here for long, and I'm sure that people who have heard me out in this 1.5 hours rather. First, my apologies for stretching this. Second, I'm sure that you will take 2 cents of my knowledge out and say that yes, I want to read a little more about procurement, understand a little more procurement. Can I build a career in procurement? Is there a procurement career in itself? And why do that people then don't really become a procurement specialist at large? I started my career as a management trainee. I've spent close to 20 years now, and I head procurement for one of the leading fresh food brands, ID Foods. And I look at probably becoming the GOAT of all times. That's what I want to do. I am no less ambitious at any point in my life, but I want every single individual on this platform to be ambitious, because the world will note India only if we have ambitious individuals coming forth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karthik and team and everyone who has contributed today. Apart from people who I have bored to death also by going non-stop. I assume that I would have probably shared 2 cents of knowledge. Open to the forum. Any questions, anything you want to ask, and anything, Karthik, you want to add? Yes.
So thank you. First of all, thank you for this insightful session. I think it has been an interactive one, and we have conducted many sessions, and this one is personally my favorite one. And thank you for the session, sir. And we would really love to have you on campus also. We have a very beautiful campus, and if possible, please visit us. And thank you for the session, sir.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Definitely love to. I would definitely, please let's make up a situation where we can do that also. I would spend time more probably taking a session on procurement. If you guys are interested in going into this industry and this function at large, please make up your mind and you want to spend more time understanding procurement, I can take a specific topic on procurement also for you guys to understand this better, because it's a very important cog of a supply chain for that matter. And we'll always spend time in person, which is much more exciting than being on Zoom calls. But having said that, thank you so much. Anything else? Anyone else wants to ask questions? Free to. Otherwise, you think it's we should call it a day. Thank you so much for having joined me. I'll just give it a minute more, Karthik, if you want. Anyone wants to ask anything else, or probably wants to share what are the negatives and the positives of the session? I would love to hear also. I'm a very self-critical person, so you can always be welcome to do that. Anyone?
The negative is the only time consent we are having. We would really like to have you. We would like to hear you much more on this topic, sir.
Fantastic. I think we should, right? Now it is basically about building careers. It is not about what I talk about. It is also about whether you have a career opportunity, whether you want to spend time on procurement, right? I know Umang does not feel good to talk too much negative about the person who has spoken, but I would take it. Don't bother about it. I'm a very, very self-critical person. I will always take it. And I love the batch presence here. While I would have loved more interactions, to be very honest, I would have spread, because interaction means time. And time is what we are short of. And a platform like this really doesn't give us much time to interact. I heard out, people who have heard out will remain in my mind. Umang, for that matter, Rishabh, Parmeshwar, who spoke out. I think Gunjan told a word or two, but I still will remember her because at least she spoke and told. Ronak, she asked a few queries of his own. There are many more on this forum. I'm sure that there are lots of questions to ask, lots of thoughts. They sometimes might have felt also that he's been talking on and on and on, baat hi nahi karne ka opportunity de rahe. But I would do that anytime I come in person. We'll always have this interaction. You can spend more time asking questions to me. You have got careers to build, guys. I'm telling you, you've got great careers ahead of you. I'm sure that you would be noted individuals in this country going forward if you do things right the right way. And everyone has to take great pride in the fact that you're working with IRMA. Sorry, you're studying at IRMA. I don't know, it's always a work culture for me. You're studying at IRMA and you have this great career ahead of you. Make sure you join the right organization. I have enjoyed working with my organization currently, ID. It's a highly evolving, very exciting young organization. I'm sure you will build your careers in the right organization. Spend 10-15 minutes thinking about where you want to head to. I have sold procurement to you in the last 1.5 hours, but I'm sure that you guys will sell many more things to the world. And wishing you all the best. See you soon in person. The moment I get some kind of an opportunity, I'll patch it up. Karthik, thank you so much. I'll take my leave and spend you guys to have a dinner. I think it's already time for your dinner at your mess. I don't know where you guys have a mess.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Yes,
fantastic.
sir.
Always miss my mess days because that was the time we used to really spend time. Now after this, you can probably go and come pass a little bit of snide comments on क्या बंदा है यार, इसने क्या बोल के गया यार, समझ में नहीं है. I don't think you can spend at least that's some kind of a relief, stress relief for you. So you got assignments and all to do. You have assignments which you do now in the evening and all.
Yes, that's given. We have that on daily basis.
Yeah, I can understand it. So I will not take much more of your time. Thank you so much. Anytime you feel that you should probably know more, I'm there on LinkedIn, Sandip Balakrishnan. Please follow me and get connected to me. I would not want you to follow anybody. The world does not need followers; they need leaders. So get connected to me. We should build a great, great young fraternity community of working Indians out in the world, and we should build it together. Thank you so much. Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, all the best for your future. Thank you. Catch up. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for all the comments. I have read everything through. I will keep it very close to my mind and my heart too. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.